A day no one thought would come has finally arrived. Well, I mean, it arrived last Sunday, technically Thursday, but it takes a while to edit this, okay? Anyway, with week 1 under our belts, let's take some time to focus on the past week and the very first weekend recap I have ever done. Oh, and just a fair warning, since this is the first time, it might be a little off, or the footage might be weird. I'm still working on how I want to do this going forward. This game started just like the divisional game did last year. Kind of. Houston did get out to a lead, though it was only 7 points. Then the Chiefs woke up and remembered that they have a high-flying offense and an actually good defense? Really? Wow. Anyway, they are playing Houston. It's not like their offense is garbage, so... Oh, right! Brilliant Bill traded away Hopkins, so they have almost no one at wide receiver. I mean, Cook is fine, and Fuller would be too if he could catch the ball. But Cobb is about 3 years too old. Oh, and not to mention they still don't have an offensive line. This was an easy win for Kansas City. Welcome to the hit TV show, Fitception, where some weeks Ryan can dominate and make the defense look like cheese, and other times he morphs into Santa and gets in the giving spirit. Let's see what he has in store today. Ah yes, Christmas. It came early to Foxborough this year. All they had to do was breathe and not completely suck and they would be golden, which they mostly did. The final score was much closer than the game really was, or should have been. There were times when New England's defense looked kind of off. They never really dominated like they thought. They did have some good plays, but not a lot. Oh, and we can't forget about Cam Newton. With the completely new offense in New England, I'm actually excited to watch them now. They can call up some unique plays that they never did before, and they were successful, though it was Miami's D, so it's hard to judge if it will be sustainable. Next week's test in Seattle should give us a better idea. This game was interesting. Two teams in very similar spots, where they shouldn't be complete trash anymore, but are in tough divisions and probably need a year or two to truly compete, went at each other. Both had a heavy dose of running and safe throws. It's not like there was no deep game in this matchup, as both quarterbacks did have one really long throw or game. The real problem, besides how many penalties there were, like seriously, guys, we get it. Flags exist. Anyway, the real danger is Carolina has no defense, and couldn't stop Josh Jacobs even if they tied his legs together. Not only did he rush for 93 yards and 3 touchdowns, he even had 46 receiving yards. If I was a Panthers fan, I wouldn't panic just yet, as Bridgewater looked decent and McCaffrey is still... well, McCaffrey? Hey look! Atlanta has new uniforms! Does this mean they will play any better? Unfortunately for them, the answer appears to be no. They suffered the same problems, such as not being able to cover wide receivers and an inability to play up to their ability. Matt Ryan still looked pretty good for the most part. Too bad he can't play every position on the field. At least Gurley played decent? I think someone forgot to tell Minnesota's defense that there was a game to play last week. It was seriously ugly to watch. Green Bay moved up and down the field as fast as a puck does in air hockey. Aaron Rodgers looked to be at the top form, absolutely tearing up their secondary and throwing like it was 2011 again. I mean, Minnesota's offense was fine. It put in an effort at least. But when you let up 43 points, it's pretty much impossible to win. What did I say about these two teams in my overlook last week?
The Buffalo Bills. The biggest question mark for them is their entire offense. The New York Jets. The biggest question mark for them is their quarterback, Sam Darnold.
Yeah, this is pretty much the same thing again. Sam must have been seeing ghosts or something again, because he was just as effective as Mark Sanchez would have been. The team just couldn't do anything right. And that's not to say the Bills were great or anything. Up by 21 and driving again in the second, what does Allen do? Imitates Daniel Jones and gives the ball back to the Jets. Again. He can't lose 2 fumbles a game and expect them to win like they did today. Oh, and the inability to score in the second half? Yeah, that doesn't help either. Well, let's see. Atlanta lost in their new uniforms, but New England won, and Cleveland is turning over a new leaf, so they should be competitive at least. Let's check in on them. Okay, never mind, they're still Cleveland. With Jacksonville still being the most incompetent organization around, maybe behind the Browns and football team, this should be an easy win for Phillip Rivers and his new team. They marched right down the field and scored a touchdown with Nyheim Hines? Really? With all the running backs they have, and the fantasy owners everywhere having Marlon Mack and Jonathan Taylor, they score with Hines? Well, at least it won't happen again. Are you kidding me? Oh, we just a Terry on top for all those Mac owners out there? Well, at least Indy will still win. Wait, why is Jacksonville coming back? You should be able to destroy them. I mean, they're starting Gardner Minshew, for crying out loud. What do you mean he only threw one incompletion the whole day? How bad are they going to be? Well, I guess this goes to show you they can take the player out of the Chargers, but they can't take the Chargers out of the player. Let's check back in on Cleveland, shall we? Yeah, how about now? Does this surprise anyone? Detroit has had the same problems for the past at least 3 years. Sure, they're up at half. Sure, they have a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter. What's that? With 4 minutes left in the game, they attempt a 54-yard kick instead of punting? They miss! Shocking. The Bears score and are back in it. What's this? Let's just keep running and not push anymore to give the Bears another free score? Unbelievable. And no, it wasn't Stafford's fault we lost. Unless he also plays every other position possible and is also the head coach. Yes, he threw that pick, but it was tipped in the air. It wasn't really his fault. Oh, and as for this, it's just an excuse. The game should have never come down to that in the first place. It's just a scapegoat for us to deflect on the fact that we still don't have a coach or defense. Call me when this Patricia and Quinn experiment is finally put down like it should have been last year. I need something to get that taste out of my mouth. I'm not 21 yet, so I don't know. Let's just go back to the Cleveland game. You guys still suck. Well, that was an embarrassment. You let up 27 unanswered points to a football team? Really? After all the, it was just injuries last year talk, and you do this? I mean, good on Washington and Riverboat Ron, but for Eagles fans, you better hope your division sucks again. And please protect Wentz. I don't want another repeat of the Andrew Luck situation. Well, that went about how I expected. Both teams clearly were far from perfect and still have serious holes, but the plus side for both teams, they're still improving. A rookie quarterback isn't gonna magically make your team a competitor again, even if he looked fairly good, besides whatever he was trying to do here. And as for LA, Taylor did exactly what he does. Is he gonna win the game for you? No, but he's not gonna throw it away either. It was a close match that could have went either way, but the pick, the fumble, and the push-off in the end zone along with this kick, that's all that it took to separate this game. As someone who has high hopes for Tampa this year, or did, I don't know yet, this game frustrated me. Tom became yet another quarterback under Arians to throw multiple picks early on. Oh, and let's not forget that Evans was hurt heading into the game, so he did nothing. Godwin is now in concussion protocol, and they still can't run for anything. The weird thing was the defense, however. I mean, it was picked apart at points and gave up over 30 points, but they still had some good plays that promised improvement. But they better get on the same page soon, because with the 43-year-old quarterback, that window will close. It was quick. This game had just as much quality as the air in San Francisco does right now. Don't get me wrong, it was cool to see Arizona look really competitive, especially with D-Hop, but for 49ers fans, it was frustrating. The run game looked decent, but the passing game still looked off, and the defense was surprisingly bad. It had a few good plays, but the secondary was torched throughout the game. So of course the football guys decide now is the time to have their might strike down Richard Sherman and George Kittle. Fantastic. I wouldn't be super concerned yet because the Cards always put up a fight in division, but still. How's that new stadium looking, boys? What's that? This isn't a pass interference? Well, how about not going forward on a fourth down in the red zone in the fourth quarter? That would help. Now we know why New England cut Gostkowski. He's going to be Vinatieri now, huh? Good thing for you, Denver couldn't quite hit on some deep balls and big play opportunities. For Denver fans out there, I wouldn't panic yet. After they get into the swing of things and Locke gets settled, you should be fine. They did look decent. Oh, and for fun, let's just have the kicker actually get one this game. The game winner. 'Cause irony, I don't know. Well, that's gonna wrap up my first weekend recap. Was it good? I don't know. I have to edit it still and post it. Hopefully it's up by the game tonight. As for if I'm gonna do it every week, I'm gonna try. It was certainly fun doing it, and I like this style of content, so hopefully you guys enjoy. And tell me anything I can improve on. Oh, and I realized I didn't touch on the Steelers-Giants game. The footage for that game, for whatever reason, didn't want to, work or something, so I decided just to not put it in. But if you guys do want to hear what I thought about it, I thought it was I thought Ben looked really rusty in the first half, but shook most of that off in the second half. And the Giants' defense just couldn't stop them. The Steelers' defense looked really, really good, but it was against the Giants, so I'm not sure how that's gonna, transfer over into the weeks ahead. But yeah, that was an interesting game as well. I'm sorry for any of you fans that were like, "Hey, you forgot a game." I didn't, but it wouldn't work for some reason.